The day Fu Rodrigo's white moonlight returned to the country, I announced my retirement from the entertainment industry under the spotlight, and explained that Fu Rodrigo and I were just friends. I took full responsibility for all the rumors between me and Fu Rodrigo in front of the media. It was all my hype here. I apologized to Mr. Fu for the trouble caused. Just as they planned, I took it all on alone. Never once considering making things hard for Fu Rodrigo, but I didn't expect that even my departure didn't bring them peace. Years later, Fu Rodrigo stood in my office, a business magazine neatly placed on the desk, with me on the cover. The assistant had just brought it in. Inside was a feature interview about me, detailing how I went from award-winning actress to co-founder of an investment firm. He lowered his brows, and for the first time, bowed his head to me. "Gianna, I regret it." Ink bled from the pen tip onto the paper, and I gently closed the folder. "President Fu, do you know what I'm best at now?" He looked up at me and surprisingly played along. "Investing, calculating return on investment." I pushed away the stack of proposal documents on the desk. "Feelings are investments too. When a stock keeps making you lose money, the rational move is to cut your losses in time. Clearly, you're no longer in my investment portfolio." The spotlight was so blinding, I could barely see the audience below the stage. I held the heavy Best Actress trophy, the microphone right at my lips. I zoned out for a moment, though it wasn't long. Really, about 10 seconds or so. The host's gentle voice came on again, and she asked me to give my acceptance speech. My acceptance speech? I think there's not a single actress who doesn't want this trophy after stepping into the industry. I'm no exception. All these years, I've imagined standing on a dazzling stage accepting this award, all the spotlights focused on me. So long ago, I used to joke around with that man, rehearsing what I'd say if I won. I said I'd put his name at the very top of my acceptance speech. Then, when the time came, he'd be sitting in the audience, waiting for the camera to pan to him, sharing the screen with me. But today, my gaze swept over the empty seat in the guest area. That seat was reserved for Fu Rodrigo. 2 hours ago, he said there was an urgent meeting and he couldn't make it to my award ceremony. But 10 minutes ago, I saw a selfie posted at the airport by his white moonlight on Weibo. In the photo, she was holding a bouquet of calla lilies. The man behind her was pushing her suitcase, looking at her dotingly. That's the same man who told me he had an important meeting. The trophy in my hand felt cold, grounding me in the reality of this moment. First, thank you to everyone who has supported me all these years. Also, thank you to the committee for giving me the chance to stand here. But today, I paused, my eyes sweeping across the sea of people below. I have something else to announce. The noise in the venue cut off instantly, countless cameras zooming in on my face. I took a gentle breath in. My gaze once again fell on that empty seat. Starting today, I will be leaving the entertainment industry. The whole place erupted in shock. Flashbulbs flickered like a rainstorm, and I could already imagine tomorrow's headlines across the major media outlets, but that no longer mattered. Also, regarding the rumors about me and Mr. Fu Rodrigo, my voice was surprisingly steady, as if I were reciting someone else's lines. "We're just ordinary friends, nothing more. All those previous reports were just the usual marketing tactics used in the industry. Here, I sincerely apologize to Mr. Fu for this farce that never should have started in the first place." While Fu Rodrigo was at the airport picking up his white moonlight, I was performing the last scene of my career. A loser who stepped down with dignity at the peak of her career. After leaving the stage, my agent Lin grabbed me. "Gianna, are you crazy? Do you know what this decision means? Does President Fu know?" "He doesn't." I replied calmly. "Anyway, it's what he wanted too." The night from a week ago resurfaced in my mind. That night, Fu Rodrigo's private celebration party, I ended my event early, planning to give him a surprise. But outside the private room, I overheard that conversation. "Simar Fea is about to return to the country. When that happens, How are you going to explain your relationship with Gianna? Just as I was about to push the door open, the voice of Fu Rodrigo's friend, Joe Marcos, rang out at the perfect moment. I froze outside the door, only hearing silence from the people inside for a few seconds. Then, that voice which had once whispered sweet nothings in my ear countless times, coldly said, "Then just don't let her know Gianna exists." All right, bro. Trying to have your cake and eat it too, huh? But Gianna's a major celeb after all. There is no shortage of stuff online about you two. Joe Marcos's voice carried a teasing tone. So how do you explain it? Just call it a publicity stunt. There are tons of people in showbiz trying to latch onto our Master Fu. Plenty of them actually fade-o-fade use it for hype. If we believed every post online, then Master Fu's harem could probably wrap around South City 4 or 5 times. I didn't hear any rebuttal from Fu Rodrigo that night. I didn't push the door open after all. I quietly walked away instead. To be fair, Fu Rodrigo didn't treat me badly. Money, resources, protection. He was never stingy with any of it. If he hadn't paved the way for me, how could I have gone from a nobody actress to top-tier status in just a few years? Maybe it was because things had been too smooth. The flowers and applause came too easily, that I started harboring foolish delusions, thinking there could be something more between us than just mutual benefit. How ridiculous. If overhearing that conversation through the door that night was like a slap to the face, then him skipping my award ceremony tonight to pick up Marfea was a bucket of ice water dumped over my head. It woke me up completely. In front of the vanity mirror, I slowly removed the makeup from my face. When my fingertip touched the tear mole at the corner of my eye, I pressed down unconsciously. Fu Rodrigo loved that mole the most. Whenever passion surged, his kisses always lingered there. Marfea had one at the corner of her eye too. My phone buzzed. An asset report from the financial advisor and a message from Lynn popped up at the same time. Public opinion has been steered as you wanted. Preliminary estimate for breach compensation is about XXX million. But luckily, in the past 2 years, most of our endorsement deals had the Fu family's backing, and the legal terms drafted were pretty lenient. I glanced over the long string of numbers on the report. These past years, riding on Fu Rodrigo's influence, the studio made a killing, and the investments paid off handsomely. Even paying breach fees would barely scratch the surface. It's a pity to part ways with such a big tree for shade. But I've always known how to take a hint. When the sponsor's white moonlight returns to the country, the stand-in should know her cue and leave gracefully. Never be the one to make things hard for him. That night, Weibo's hot searches exploded. Gianna wins Best Actress. Gianna announces retirement from showbiz. Gianna admits to hype Faye. Not just Lynn, even my private phone was blowing up with calls. That night, Fu Rodrigo's call was buried among the pile of missed calls. After a long time, he sent a message. As long as you've thought it through, it was an unspoken breakup. On the trending search list, Fu Rodrigo's name appeared alongside mine. Fu Rodrigo Airport Pickup. Along with it was a photo. Fu Rodrigo stood at the airport exit, slightly lowering his head, helping Marfea tighten her coat. The comment section exploded. So Gianna really was shamelessly hyping it up? Is that even in doubt? Didn't President Fu just slap her in the face personally? Why would she say those things at her own award ceremony? Couldn't figure it out. Looks like this was arranged by President Fu, right? Everyone go dig into the background of the lady Fu Rodrigo picked up. I bet the real deal is back and the fake one knows to bow out. I tossed the SIM card into the hotel toilet. Lynn tried to rush over to stop me, but it was too late. All the partners are looking for you. And what if President Fu calls you? I pressed the flush button and watched the tiny card spin and disappear. Isn't the lawyer already handling all the work stuff? As for personal matters, they don't matter. But it is President Fu. Lin. Please remember who pays your salary. I cut her off, but I also knew clearly, in these years everyone around me had already tied me to Fu Rodrigo. These years, I did ride his coattails a fair bit. But forget it. Time will tell. Lin, book me a flight to Singapore. I opened the newly bought laptop. Use new info from the day I learned I was Seymour Fea's stand. And I started preparing for all this. Overseas identity. New accounts, overseas assets with diversified investments. The first lesson Fu Rodrigo taught me was to always have a plan B. Didn't expect I'd end up using it to leave him. When Liu's call reached Lin, I froze for a moment. She's the housekeeper at Fu Rodrigo's place. Back when things were passionate, I used to crash at his place a lot. Naturally left a bunch of random stuff there. Ms. Gianna, your phone was off. Liu's voice was a bit hesitant. We've been tidying up the apartment the past couple of days, and found some of your things, and some of Mr. Fu's too. They've been sitting there for a long time. Do you want to come check them out when you have time? See what to keep, what to toss? No need, I said calmly. Just throw my stuff out, but, Liu hesitated, there's also a pair of rings. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard XX Airlines. The in-flight announcement came on right on cue, drowning out the rest of her sentence. Ms. Gianna, are you at the airport? I gave a faint. A sharp sound suddenly came through the phone, like a glass cup shattering on the floor, completely broken. When I landed in Singapore, it was just after a rain. The teammate who came to pick me up gave me a big hug when they saw me. I waited so long, and you finally came. I hugged her back and raised an eyebrow. Perfect timing. I've got a new project on hand that looks promising. Wanna talk while we walk? Yes, I knew it. You're a hidden gem, totally worth the wait. The one who came to pick me up is also my future business partner, the founder of Sinchin Ventures, Isla. I met her at a business banquet back in China. At the time, things were going well between me and Fu Rodrigo. He often took me to these business events to show face and introduce me to resources. That banquet, I was his date. Isla, on the other hand, was a prominent guest who was invited to attend. Two people who had no reason to cross paths ended up meeting. Because of her troublesome boy toy, I was catching some air on the terrace when I saw with my own eyes a pretty boy being greedy for resources and his sugar mommy losing patience and kicking him out. You're too eager. You can't even tell what kind of occasion this is. Isla was the sugar mommy who kicked the pretty boy out. The face tall pretty boy's bravado instantly deflated. Isla's sharp gaze went past him and landed on me. Sorry. I just stepped out for some air, didn't mean to interrupt. Running into someone's private moment is never good. I explained awkwardly and began to step back. But to my surprise, Isla looked at me and paused in thought. You're Gianna. That was the first time that night I heard someone else say my name. What happened after that was surprisingly dramatic. Isla recognized me. It was because of a women's charity event she had organized before. I had volunteered to shoot a promo video for it. Promo video. I searched my brain. I've shot so many promo videos over the years, I couldn't remember a single one. Isla smiled and hinted, periods are not a weakness. It is the tide of female life. I remembered. I really did volunteer to help shoot a promo like that. A film about breaking the stigma of menstruation. But that was before I got famous. Back then, I was still in school, just happened to be spotted by an ad agency, and got invited to shoot some commercials. Luckily, those commercials turned out pretty well, and even gave me a bit of exposure and popularity. So when someone approached me to shoot a public service announcement, I wasn't surprised. Then, the person sent me the proposal for the promo, and I thought the theme was really meaningful, so I readily agreed and even waived the filming fee. No need. If your boss insists on paying, just donate it to the girls in the mountain areas. Later on, they really did make the donation in my name. I even received a thank you letter from a girl in the mountains. Back when we were filming the promo, I was in Europe busy with a project. I couldn't thank you in person at the time. I waved it off, said it wasn't necessary. Thinking back now, I did get an overseas call from Isla then. It has just been so long that I forgot her name. That night, Isla and I had a great chat. We even exchanged contact info and became friends who could keep in touch. But I also still remember how Fu Rodrigo tried to stop me. Whenever he brought up Isla, he always said she was a woman who would do whatever it takes to get what she wants. Like, for example, her goal in that women's public welfare event back then wasn't exactly pure. Fu Rodrigo told me to keep my distance from her, preferably not contact her at all. But so what? Even if there are ulterior motives, barely any man would come up with a topic like this. Kindness doesn't question intent, only outcomes. Even if her goodwill had a bit of selfishness, the world genuinely got a little better because of what she did. I still remember, that's how I argued back at him. Seems like it all started from that point on. Fu Rodrigo was like someone who just realized the pet he'd raised for years suddenly had its own mind. His dissatisfaction with me started to show more and more, and tension started growing between us. "Look, there's a rainbow in the sky." Isla's excited voice snapped me back to reality. Singapore after the rain was really stunning. A brilliant rainbow stretched across the sky. It's a sign our business will soar like that rainbow. It definitely will. Once I got to Singapore, I snapped right into work mode. The very first project I dove into was the one I mentioned the day Isla picked me up from the airport. The one about the safe Fay allergen, free sanitary pads. Isla thought I was just casually bringing it up, but when I dropped the BP busyness plan on her desk, her expression turned serious. "Looks like you're for real about this." She started flipping through the stack of papers. "All right, I'll get back to you once I finish reading. Since this is your first time running the show, I might give you some advice." 5 months later, I returned to Huxi, Shanghai. Today's the first roadshow in Huxi for the sanitary pad project. Our product has already passed early validation and small-scale testing, and now it is ready for an official public release. As one of the most important financial cities in the country, we place great importance on the impact of this roadshow in Huxi, Shanghai. Unlike last time, when I was wearing a gorgeous dress and receiving an award under the spotlight, this time I'm in a simple suit, hiding behind the scenes. But just when everything was ready, the young girl I invested in told me she has a condition where she can't control her tears. Gianna, I don't know why, but at this point, when I see this kind of setting, my voice starts shaking, and I feel like crying. She didn't dare to go on stage, so I had to bite the bullet and step up. Besides the on-site part, we also connected the roadshow to a live stream. The big screen was facing the front of the stage. When it was my turn, the originally sparse barrage of comments started scrolling like crazy. "Wait, what? Didn't this woman retire from the circle? What's she doing now? Could it be that retiring from the circle was just a stunt to grab attention? Highly possible, after all. Since the hype target already has the main wife, she can only use other ways to attract attention. I used to have a pretty good impression of her acting, but she loves pulling tricks too much. Total turnoff." My eyes swept over them. "Hello everyone, I'm Gianna, an investment partner at Shinchin Ventures. The Tahoe Care Faye project has always been followed up by me. Our Tahoe Care Faye founder, Liu Paula, is a highly competent and workaholic female founder. Before going on stage, she said she thought of a great idea and planned to apply it to the new generation of products, so she gave me the opportunity to introduce it on stage. Next, please allow me to share a few words as both an investor and an early user of the Tahoe Care product. Luckily, I was deeply involved in this project and had a framework, so giving this speech came naturally to me. Gotta say, her speech is really classy and professional. True, but she's doing Faye well. Don't tell me it's all scripted. I was just about to become a fan, and now you're telling me she's acting. Did the person above forget who this woman is? Oh right! Didn't she win a Best Actress award 5 months ago? Pause the gossip, Faye. I'm actually sold on the product she introduced. Yeah, say what you will, that high-end line with sensors. I'm seriously tempted. I fame into the app developed by Care. Just now, I tried downloading it. The user experience is top-notch. I glanced at the barrage of suddenly shifting comments and curled my lips into a smile. Next up was the Q&A session with the press. Normally, open Q&A sessions are just a formality. Reporter A. When I notice there's a large QR code on the Care product packaging, why is it more eye-catching than the ones on other brands? What's the design intention behind it, me? That's a great question, and thank you for paying such close attention to our product. If you try scanning it, you'll see something different. Usually, QR codes on sanitary pad packaging link to the brand's official account. But when you scan the one from Care, it takes you to a series of videos. This is an instructional video on how to use sanitary pads, as well as a science-based explanation of menstrual care, created by renowned domestic gynecologists we invited. Actually, besides these, on the Care Service app, there are many videos on sex education and mental health education. All of these were recorded by domestic experts in their respective fields, invited by Care. I'm saying all this to express that what Care wants to do has never been just about making a safe and reliable sanitary pad. Product safety is just the baseline. On top of product safety, Care also wants to focus on areas that are easily overlooked. And these are about the future well-being of girls. Reporter B. Ems, when do we really need an instructional video for using sanitary pads? With all due respect, isn't this more of a gimmick than something meaningful? Me, Miss Reporter. I see you're also a woman. You're young, dressed in name brands. I'm guessing you live a very comfortable and privileged life. She instinctively straightened her back. The corners of her mouth curled up without realizing, but she quickly pressed her lips together, trying to maintain a professional look. But what I want to say is, please accept the unevenness of this world. In fact, many young women like you living in cities might not know that. According to our latest market research, of adolescent girls nationwide are completely at a loss when they get their first period. I have a younger cousin. I paused slightly. When she was little, there were no female elders around her, so she learned how to use sanitary pads from the lady at the corner store. But the lady only taught her how to put it on. She didn't know that sanitary pads need to be changed every few hours. So during her period, she used one single pad for a whole day, all the way until college. It wasn't until her college roommate found out that she even realized this common sense we all know. What do you think? For girls like her, is a professional guidance video just a gimmick or a real necessity? What I didn't say was, that little girl with the BP who came to me, that was Lou Paula. I didn't miss the flash of disgust on the young reporter's face. After answering this question, I planned to move on to the other reporters, but she kept pressing. But we also saw, the product you presented today is positioned at the high end. So do you think all women can afford the cost of period care? Those people you mentioned, the ones who don't even know common sense, can they afford it? I said. Based on different user needs, Care developed multiple product lines. For example, the current premium Care Star Dome series includes smart monitoring features, app notifications for best change time, alerts for abnormal discharge, and cycle health reports. Naturally, this comes at a higher price. But we also have the basic Care Morning Dawn series, focusing on the fundamental function of sanitary pads, so it is more affordable, suitable for budget-conscious women. Reporter B, the basic line. So it's really cheap. Can you really guarantee the quality? I calmly replied, cheap doesn't mean low quality. In fact, the procurement standard for the basic line is higher than the national standard. We control costs through supply chain optimization. That's Cintian Ventures' specialty. But I think what's even more convincing than what I just said is, the founder of the Care brand, Ms. Liu Paula, has always used the Morning Dawn series. The reporter asking the question looked surprised. Why, maybe that is exactly why she moved me. When Liu Paula came to me for investment, she said, "A great product can have no ceiling, but the basics must hold the line. I want to be the one who holds the line." Faye, all right. We've had a thorough discussion on this topic. Next person. Wait, I have one last question. I curled my lips into a smile. Looks like she is dead set on causing a stir today. I nodded, signaling her to go on. She asked with a hint of provocation, "Why is this brand called Tahoe Care, and why must it include English? Is it to make it seem fancy, or is it some kind of blind worship of foreign things?" I met her eyes firmly. I fully recognize and believe in the future potential of the brand, Tahoe Care. Besides serving our fellow women in the Chinese market, we're also planning to take the brand international. Miss Reporter, if you'd actually read the materials we placed on every seat before the pitch, I put heavy emphasis on the word actually. You'd know that Tahoe Care has already completed company registrations and patent arrangements in multiple Southeast Asian countries. The future of Tahoe Care is the global market. So not just this time, but in every future instance, including overseas markets, we will formally introduce Tahoe Care. As for using English means fancy, I chuckled lightly. I think real sophistication is making global consumers remember a brand from China, instead of obsessing over whether its name has letters. Don't you think so? Damn, triple kill. Suddenly realizing Gianna is scarily strong. Her ability to react on the spot is absolutely insane. If this isn't a script, I'm willing to be Gianna's most loyal simp. Please, after the best actress retires, can I still join her fan club? Those who said Gianna was just acting. Slap in the face now, huh? Does it hurt? It fey a script. It feys a script. It feys a script. Aren't reporters' questions always pre-arranged anyway? To the ones above, is it that hard to admit someone is amazing? I checked. That reporter couldn't have coordinated with Gianna, because too many bullet comments. The text behind is covered. After the roadshow ended, Liu Paula came to me. She stood in front of me with her head down, fingers nervously twisting her shirt hem. Even though she's already an independent founder, right now she looked like a kid who did something wrong. "Gianna. Jay, I'm sorry. I almost messed up the roadshow. I'm so useless." I patted her on the head. "Don't say silly stuff like that. Just being able to stand here means you're already doing great." Seeing her still biting her lip, I smiled and ruffled the top of her head. The first time I acted, it took me 27 takes to get it right. Know what the director said? People afraid of making a fool of themselves will never make it to the spotlight. See, but that didn't stop me from winning Best Actress 3 years later. Xiaoyan, you're just lacking experience in public speaking. That's all. It's okay. We'll practice more when we get back. But yeah, you do need to get used to standing on stage. After all, Xintian can get you through Series A and B, but to really bring care into the lives of millions of girls, it's still up to you, the founder. I've seen the behind-the-scenes video of Liu Paula filming the promo for Care. In the office, she spoke confidently to the camera, introducing the product. She's great, just lacks a bit of confidence when speaking in front of the public. That's the kind of greenness unique to most first-time founders. But I believe the fiery passion in her heart will eventually melt away that final thin layer of hesitation. When Isla's call came in, I was standing in front of that local cuisine restaurant I hadn't visited in 6 months. At dusk, the familiar carved lintel glowed with a warm, gentle light. Congrats! The roadshow made it to the trending list. The public sentiment is surprisingly good. I chuckled. Thanks. Isn't the Indonesia project keeping you busy? Still got time to watch the live stream? Of course. It's your first roadshow as the lead. How could I miss it? Isla suddenly changed the subject. By the way, that reporter today sent by a competitor? Nope. Well, now that's interesting. She let out a light laugh. But honestly, if it weren't for her tough questions, the result might not have turned out this good. Exactly. Using a brick to draw out jade, that brick definitely did its job. While chatting with Isla, the private room door opened. I told her I had something to take care of and would catch up later. Isla was puzzled. Weren't you having dinner? Handle work after eating? Nah, the owner of that brick just showed up. You did great in the roadshow. Thanks. President Fu sent a reporter personally to crash the event. I'm honored. 5 months ago, you were riding high, holding a trophy as you left the scene. So you quit acting just to sell pads. Fu Rodrigo sat across from me, holding today's roadshow flyer for Tahoe Care. I stayed silent and pressed the service bell. If you'd just said earlier you didn't want to act, I could have made that happen for you. Come to Fu Capital. We've got internet, semiconductors, green energy, take your pick. Stop doing these shady little investments. And what's President Fu offering to hire me? VP title. You name the stock options. The catch is, you come back. I let out a snort of laughter. If I come back, then what about President Fu's white moonlight? Fu Rodrigo frowned. There's nothing going on with her. Bottom line, you're just bothered by other women being around me. But I'm a businessman. Sometimes those interactions are inevitable. Still, if it bothers you, I'll be more careful. I clenched my fists, wondered if the brand would take a hit if word got out that an investor hit someone right after the Care Roadshow. I forced my temper down. Fu Rodrigo, what makes you think I'd ever come back? Fu Rodrigo shot back. And what good is being with Isla doing for you, I told you. She's a ruthless woman. Back then, President Fu trying to bring up her charity whitewashing again. Yeah, I am. Back then, her bad reputation nearly tanked her investment project's IPO. That's the only reason she did that, so-called charity work to turn public opinion around. Then why don't you say it? Back then, her bad reputation was because she turned down the boss of Fengyu Media. Fengyu retaliated by smearing her. Gianna. He suddenly stood up, flinging the documents in his hand. The chair screeched sharply against the floor. You've been brainwashed by her. I'd like to see how long your cooperation lasts. The door to the private room slammed with a thunderous bang. After a moment, a nervous waiter poked his head in. Miss Gianna. Did you just call me? I looked at the papers scattered on the floor. Haven't been here for half a year, and now even the private rooms get barged into. I'm really sorry. I thought Mr. Fu was. He wasn't. I grabbed my bag and got up to leave. Cancel my membership for me. On the day, Tahoe Care broke into the top 10 of the newcomer ranking during the e-commerce festival. My second investment project, Roundtable, launched on all platforms. Roundtable is the first domestic flexible job platform focused on female freelancers. With features like smart job matching, career, parenting integration services, real-time safety protection, and skill enhancement training, the platform helps single women take jobs with peace of mind, supports moms in balancing work and family, and enables women to continue career development at every stage of life. In a warm and brightly lit home, founder Lynn Elena fluently introduced Roundtable to the reporter who came for an interview. I couldn't help but think of 3 months ago. The first time I met Lynn Elena, she had changed the meeting place last minute to a hospital corridor. When I arrived, she was coding on her laptop, and there was a 3-month-old baby in her arms. Need me to help? I squatted down. When she saw it was me, she handed the baby over to me. She kept her head down, editing away. Sorry about earlier. Things were a bit urgent. The client was rushing me to revise. 10 minutes later, she finally closed her laptop and scratched her head, apologizing to me awkwardly. No worries. Oh, right. The baby seemed to have peed just now. Do you want to change her diaper? Huh? Lynn Elena's face instantly flushed red. She kept apologizing and rushed to the mother and baby room with the baby in her arms. I thought Lynn Elena was a married mom. It wasn't until we finally sat down somewhere that she explained it to me. The child was her sister's, and her sister had something going on at the hospital, so she called her over for help. Oh right, where's your brother? In-law's family then. My brother. In-law was an orphan. He died when my sister was 8 months pregnant. In its first month online, Roundtable gained over Fei registered users and facilitated Fei freelance job transactions. But just when Lynn-Elena and I were full of plans for the next step, something happened. A Fei-year-old postpartum mom named Sun Xiaoyu took an order but had no one to watch the baby, leading to an accidental injury. Sun Xiaoyu's husband posted videos on multiple social platforms, accusing the Roundtable platform of false advertising, claiming the promised childcare service doesn't exist at all, and showed pictures of the child's injury. Crap platform got my kid hurt. My wife just gave birth and got tricked into taking an order. Now the baby's hurt. Who's gonna take responsibility? This made it to the trending topics. Fei Roundtable platform hurts people. Fei the entire internet came at us with malice. These kinds of platforms just make women act as both moms and money, making machines. Capitalists are disgusting. Making postpartum women take orders, feeding off human suffering. As expected, it is just another capitalist scheme exploiting women's anxiety. Scamming again. Has the founder ever even had a kid? Knows nothing. I don't know if the founder has had kids, but check who the investor is. UDF. It's Gianna again. Looks like she really cashed in on the female bonus with that sanitary pad project. When Lynn-Elena told me she'd reached out to Sun Xiaoyu's husband through a social platform, but he completely refused to talk. That's when I realized this might not be an accident. I called Isla and asked for her help. Also, I told Lynn-Elena to stop contacting Sun Xiaoyu's husband and try to get in touch with Sun Xiaoyu directly instead. I need to know what Sun Xiaoyu thinks. But the contact info she left on our platform doesn't work at all right now, so I could only rely on some personal connections. Isla told me not to look at social media lately. She took over all the PR stuff completely, but I didn't listen. Still checked. I needed to know what the public thought of Roundtable. The outrage kept snowballing online. At some point, all that fury turned fully toward, she really wants it both ways. Says she supports women's independence by investing in platforms, but didn't she get her start thanks to the FU family? Let's remind everyone of something. On the day the FU family CEO picked up his childhood sweetheart at the airport, Gianna the actress won an award and announced her retirement. So the main girl came back to the country and the side chick stepped down? She looked all high and mighty when she quit after winning the award, but in the end, dig deep into Sinchin Ventures, check who Gianna's partner is and you'll get it. Checked it out. They shouldn't call it a venture fund. Chicken coop fits better. Found it. Isla, has the internet forgotten? Her rep back then online was also. Take a look at Shintian Ventures' official account. Those female investors in the promo pics, dressed flashy as hell. No wonder, Isla. She is a wild one. You could collect her exes like stamps. Actually, there were other voices too. How can someone just flap their lips and wipe out all her efforts, summing it up with, she relied on a man? Let's be real. Tons of celebs get resources through introductions, but not everyone ends up winning Best Actor or Actress. The richest heir changes girlfriends monthly and still has a fan club calling him hubby. So what if Sister Isla's rich and pretty and has dated a few more times? I'm a single mom and one of the earliest users of Roundtable. I got 2 offline gigs through it that allowed me to bring my kid. Roundtable is really friendly to single moms raising kids alone. It's normal for new platforms to have issues at first, but as long as they fix them, what's the big deal? But all these voices got drowned out in the tide of anger and scolding. Isla came to Hushi, while she kept making phone calls, busy dealing with this matter. Fu Rodrigo sent me a message. Come back. The conditions haven't changed. I'll help you take care of this. I casually deleted the text message. While Isla was busy, I also went into my own room, quietly made a phone call behind her back. During this time, one more thing happened. Fu Rodrigo's white moonlight, C. Marfea, found me. I thought that when I left back then, they would immediately get together. But weirdly, even after I've been gone so long, they never got together. C. Marfea came to me, said she had something to talk about. She asked to meet at the CAF Fay downstairs from my place, and we talked for an hour. There was progress on the matter we asked a friend for help with. We found Sun Xiaoyu in a cramped, narrow house. She really was doing postpartum confinement. She opened the door holding a crying baby. That man who kept posting on social media defending his wife and daughter was nowhere to be seen. She didn't even know what had been happening online these past couple of days. She said the other day after she took an order, the booked babysitter never showed up. She left the kid with her husband for just a bit, but somehow the kid ended up falling and crying loudly. Luckily, they went to the hospital for a checkup. And it wasn't anything serious. Her husband said he'd ask the platform for compensation, but felt bad for her during postpartum recovery, told her to just focus on the baby. He said he'd take care of it. Lynn Elena and I exchanged a look and instantly understood each other. Before leaving, I asked her, "Do you know your husband owes a bunch of large online loans?" Sun Xiaoyu's voice trembled. He gambled again. She instinctively tightened her arms and held the baby in her arms even closer. That night, Roundtable released the latest statement. Dear Roundtable users and friends, from all sectors of society, recently, the incident involving Ms. Lin Xiaoyu's child being injured has sparked widespread attention online. After our internal investigation, and with evidence collected with police assistance, we have confirmed that this was a malicious smear campaign that was deliberately orchestrated. Relevant evidence has been handed over to judicial authorities. However, in the process, we also found room for improvement in our platform's childcare service reminder mechanisms. Alongside this, Sun Xiaoyu herself posted a clarification video online. Everyone thought the drama ended there, but when they saw that 7 of the top 10 trending searches were related to Roundtable, they realized this was a total and crushing reversal. FaySike International joins Roundtable Face Enterprise Service Procurement Platform, Fay Tahoe Care Fay signs Strategic Partnership Agreement with Fay Roundtable Fay 13 law firms issue. Joint statement. Represent the Fay Smear Roundtable case. Fay renowned scholar Professor Chen Saiwen praises Fay Roundtable while discussing women's independence. Fay Lin City Government signs Fay Stable Employment Fay Service Procurement Agreement with Fay Roundtable. Fay Roundtable CTIM's Fay clarify the platform is not at fault. Fay Roundtable Fay launches the Fay Mom Peace of Mind Plan. Fay. Even though I know the whole PR plan, I'm still surprised at how fast the related topics climb the trending list. After all, 7 out of the top 10 trending topics are ours. I looked at Isla. How did you pull that off? Isla flicked her hair. Don't worship me. Ever since I got screwed over by Wind Entertainment, I've known how important it is to control the narrative. But even Isla was surprised about the 13 law firms taking on the case. When did you set that up? While you were on the phone with Professor Chen. Don't we have an in-house legal team for that? Because besides going after Sun Xiaoyu's husband and the opponents legally, I'm not letting those spreading rumors and throwing shade online off the hook either. Isla casually tapped into 2 of the law firm's official accounts. Law firm A's latest post showed a whole conference table, stacked with what looked like hundreds of lawsuits. And law firm B posted a photo taken in front of the XX People's Court. Captioned, "The internet is not beyond the law. We're here to protect Ms. Wen's rights." That caption's kinda extra. But whatever, just ignore the small stuff like that. Isla couldn't help but praise how insanely efficient law firms are these days. Damn right. I said whichever firm performs best overall gets top priority as long-term legal counsel for all my future investments. But seriously, sorry for dragging you into this whole media mess too. You mean all that stuff online? She scoffed. I don't care. All they can do is use some outdated Fay insults to cover up their fear of my professional skills. It is pathetic. Then, she suddenly changed the subject. "Oh right, Psych International. Isn't that Marfea's company?" I nodded. Time went back to that afternoon, when I met up with Marfea at a cafe. Marfea got straight to the point, saying she appreciated the round table's philosophy, and it just so happened that some of Psych's business units needed that kind of flexible staffing. She could collaborate with me. Why? Does this have anything to do with Fu Rodrigo? Don't get me wrong. This is a decision from my company. It has absolutely nothing to do with him. But speaking of which, I do owe you an explanation. The day you announced you were quitting the industry, I asked Fu Rodrigo to pick me up, but it was just to make a show for my family. I honestly didn't know it was such an important moment for you. But don't worry, Fu Rodrigo and I were never together. I admit I had a bit of a crush when I was young, but after I went abroad, those girlish feelings were long gone. I said I hadn't had anything to do with him for a long time either. Asking in advance was just to avoid any issues with future collaboration. Oh right. One more thing, for a long-established company like Psych, isn't this kind of staffing change a bit much? We could start with phased cooperation, but Marfea was firm in her decision. I've already reached an agreement on the HR reform plan with the HR director. We'll go through the execution details one by one in the joint meetings. Also, from the moment I made you that promise, you never had to doubt the truth of my words at the end. She slightly raised her chin, a glint of sharpness flashing in her eyes. You think I came back to the country just to mess around with Fu Rodrigo? It's way more fun to gain power in the boardroom, Isla said. Marfea is not someone to underestimate. Because of a certain business project before, she had a brief clash with Marfea. When it comes to her opponent, Isla knows her well. She made her mark abroad before her dad called her back to C Corp. In just one short year after returning, she's won the support of more than half the board, far surpassing her one older and one younger brother who have been at Corp for years. I heard the recent wins in Corp. The next leader of the family's generation is about to be decided, and odds are high, it'll be her. Her willingness to work with the round table is a good thing. I nodded, remembering something else. And about Lynn City's government procurement services, our platform is still in its early stages. How could we get government support, did you? I told you I believe in the round table's potential. If you really feel uneasy about it, you can convert my share into equity, Isla teased. Just as Isla said, after the public opinion wave around the round table receded, what was left wasn't a broken dam, but a foundation of trust washed even more solid. On this foundation, a building was rising straight from the ground. 3 months later, the platform's registered users surpassed Feifei, and the average daily orders increased 5-fold. Someone here took on their first design job after divorce, using the income to pay off their child's tuition. Some people, after being confined to the household for years, are now relearning skills on the platform and returning to the workforce. Others formed the Mom Order, taking alliance, watching each other's kids, and sharing order resources. In the round table's meeting room, Lynn Elena cast the new user map onto the wall. Dots of light representing activity were lighting up densely in Tier, Fei and Tier, Fei cities. Those were where the most invisible unemployed women were. Moms forced out of the workplace, young people returning to small towns, daughters taking care of paralyzed elderly but still wanting to earn some income. Later on, thanks to the high-quality and efficient services provided by the women of the Round Table, more and more companies actively settled into the Round Table. Fu Rodrigo called me too. He said his company wanted to join the Round Table's enterprise service procurement platform. I handed that off to Lynn Elena to coordinate, and I was already off to the next project. Later, I invested in more and more projects. The way the media described me gradually shifted from retired movie queen to co-founder of Sinchin Ventures. When I had a business plan about egg freezing on my desk, Isla teased that I was obsessed with the female founder track. I said, I believe in the infinite potential of women. Male entrepreneurs change the world. Female entrepreneurs change how the world operates. The next time I saw Fu Rodrigo was in my office. Unlike all those chasing wife romance stories, after I left for all these years, Fu Rodrigo was still doing just fine, and his company hadn't gone bankrupt. After all, the Fu family's capital accumulation over several generations runs deep. Compared to the previous generations of the Fu family, Fu Rodrigo may seem mediocre, but with the Fu family's foundation and the support of professional managers, he can still enjoy a life of wealth and prestige. The only thing that might have not gone his way is me, his runaway ex. Because after all these years, Fu Rodrigo actually showed up in my office and said he regretted it. Ah, hang. I regret it. He lowered his brows, bowing his head to me for the first time. The fountain pen tip bled a blot of ink on the paper, and I gently closed the folder. My eyes drifted to the business magazine sitting on the desk. It's the latest issue of a business magazine the assistant just brought in, and I'm on the cover. There's a special feature interview in it about me, detailing how I transitioned from a movie queen to the co-founder of an investment firm. Fu Rodrigo followed my gaze. President Fu, do you know what I'm best at these days? He looked up at me and surprisingly played along. Investing, calculating return on investment. I pushed aside the desk full of pitch books. Feelings are investments too. When a stock keeps bleeding losses, the rational move is to cut your losses in time. Clearly, you're no longer in my portfolio. I admitted that many years ago, I overheard that conversation at the club. That night, I didn't end up walking in. I chose to quietly leave instead. Fu Rodrigo's face went completely pale. Later, I thought, how could a high-end private club fail to protect even this level of privacy? Unless you, President Fu, gave the go-ahead. How else could this have happened on your turf? He knows that in this lifetime, there is no way he and I could ever be possible again. That night at the club, it was a test of my obedience they had set up. What a shame. I failed. President Fu stands high above, but underestimated the dignity of someone like me at the bottom. Oh, right. Before he left, I called out to him one last time. Fu Rodrigo paused, and as he turned around, a barely noticeable trace of anticipation flashed in his eyes. I still remember. Back then you asked me why I invested in a project as undignified as sanitary pads. He frowned slightly, seemingly unsure why I suddenly brought up the past. Funny thing is, just last week an investor told me I should focus on a broader world, and I asked him, aren't women's worlds already broad enough? Fu Rodrigo's expression shifted slightly, like he wanted to say something. I looked straight at him and continued. Fu Rodrigo, my world has long been bigger than you imagined. We're done here. Don't come again. After Fu Rodrigo left, Isla leaned lazily against my desk, her eyes sparkling with gossip. Come on, Spill. What just happened? I didn't even look up, still flipping through the files in my hands. He regrets it. Wants to get back together. Isla clicked her tongue in disgust, like Shed heard something dirty. Where does he get the nerve also? I looked at Isla in confusion. He actually asked me why I could work with C. Marfea, the one who drove me away back then, but couldn't give him another chance. Isla's expression turned colorful in an instant, like she'd just heard the most ridiculous joke of the century. What? What is so hard to understand about that? This is called, she rolled her eyes, mutual admiration between successful women. What the hell's it got to do with him? Isla got more fired up as she spoke. Besides, you and he broke up because he was being an idiot. What does that have to do with Si Marfea? Si Marfea did take advantage of him, but if he had even a bit of common sense back then, you two wouldn't have ended up like that. I couldn't help but laugh and raised my hand to cut her off. All right, if we keep ranting, we're gonna be late for tonight's award ceremony. Isla smacked her forehead, suddenly remembering. Oh, right. You're the one presenting the Best Actress Award at the film festival tonight. Outside the window, dusk was deepening. The lights at Marina Bay lit up one by one, casting a golden glow on the glass curtain wall. In the distance, the Merlion statue's fountain soared high, droplets catching the sunset and scattering into tiny bits of light, like falling stars descending to the mortal world. I closed the file and stood up. Let's go change into our gowns. Care Tahoe had a successful launch overseas, breaking Fay million in sales in the first month. Liu Paula booked the celebration party in Singapore and formally invited Isla and me. When Isla got there and saw the huge celebration cake with 3 cute little girls holding hands on top, she was completely stunned. She asked me, kindergarten dinner party, but then she turned around and gave Liu Paula a big gift. She joked with me the first project you managed was really a success. I said, you also deserve credit. Isla shook her head and said she didn't participate in that project, but I corrected her. You were the angel investor in that project. Isla frowned, trying to recall. I grinned. Liu Paula is that little girl who wrote me a thank you letter back then. Holy shit. Why didn't you say so earlier? She didn't let me. I pointed at the girl on stage, waving us over to cut the cake together. She wanted to make something of herself first, then surprise you. C. Marfea got married, and the groom shocked everyone. Although his face and looks were excellent, compared to C. Marfea's family background, he didn't seem good enough. C. Marfea said, he's a really good person, provides emotional value, and their relationship was super sweet. They had a clear plan for the future. She'd take charge outside. He'd handle things at home. Of course, the most important thing was, she was pregnant. This is the first grandson of the Tsai family. Her dad was thrilled and decided to retire and hand over power to her. The company's shareholders had no objections either. After all, the 2 sons of the SI family were useless, and C. Marfea being married with a child made her more trustworthy as a decision maker to shareholders and outside investors. So lucky, C. Marfea walked elegantly on stage in her wedding dress, and Isla sighed beside me. You could choose to get married too, I teased. Isla's face changed instantly, resolute not getting married. Right now, people just say I'm ruthless. I'm afraid that if I get married, they'll say I'm a ruthless, cold-hearted, selfish woman who ignores her family and wrongs her husband. I invested in a project. Objectively speaking, the return rate is very low. When Isla found out, Etsuke, you're really rich and willful now, I said. It is a very creative fairy tale picture book company. Its proposal cover caught my eye among a pile of documents. It was a proposal unlike any other. On the pink cover of the proposal, there was a drawing of a princess in a pink bubble dress, sword in hand, riding a horse to slay a dragon and save her kingdom and people. I invested in it because the founder told me. He lowered his brows, bowing to me for the first time. Isla clicked her tongue when she saw the proposal. Still too conservative. My month-old daughter says she wants to see a story about a princess and her 18 knights. President Gu is still being modest. President Gu and her 80 male models, a story worth telling, is now the talk of the town. After a while, she came to me again. All right, let's talk serious. That story, got sex or violence? Link please. Wanna read it. Thanks.